Hey everyone, so today we're going to be going over part 2 of Celina's lesson with Michaela. I'm going to be giving some more feedback, seeing what went well, what could be worked on. Again, this is all in the pursuit of us getting better, so this isn't feedback that I give is not because Celina did something wrong necessarily or incorrectly, but it's just, how can we improve and get better. So thank you, Celina and Michaela, for participating in this and allowing me to give feedback here. This is going to be a super helpful resource for future tutors. So let's get into it.
So to convert between all these units of length, you're going to have to memorize 1 foot is equal to 12 inches, 3 feet is equal to 1 yard, which is equal to 36 inches, 5,280 feet, whatever. It's really, really complicated, right? So we're going to try and reduce it down to just a couple of conversions that you can use for this.
Take it from the complicated to the simple. Small parts. Good.
Okay. So we talked about 1 foot is equal to 12 inches.
Right there again, we talked about 1 foot equals 12 inches. Instead, 1 foot equals how many inches?
Your teacher, does he usually let you look at your notes during a test?
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Okay. So in that case,
any math product.
Okay. I see. All right. So in this case, then you're not going to have to worry about memorizing every single one of these, but it is still useful to know, 1 foot is 12 inches if you're doing anything in your daily life. So 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. Now let's look at another conversion, which is 3 feet is equal to 1 yard. I'm very bad at writing upside down. Okay, so if I said 3 feet is equal to 1 yard, then let's see. Let's say I have something. Okay, let's say the length of my bedroom is 3 yards. So how many feet is that?
1.
Well, remember we said 3 feet is equal to 1 yard.
Oh, that's a yard.
Mm-hmm. Oh. But 3 yards is not equal to 1 foot. You can't swap these numbers around.
How can we turn this into a question? Okay, 3 feet equals 1 yard. So is 1 foot equal to 1 yard, or is 1 yard equal to 1 foot, right? Asking it, allowing Michaela to answer that right off the bat, right? Getting those questions firing early. Play.
So remember, I said 3 feet per 1 yard, right? So now if I have 3 yards, how many feet would that be?
9.
Yeah. So that would be 9 feet. Now let's try that with something like a decimal refraction. Let's say the height of my house is...
Pause. Did Celina just say decimal refraction?
Now let's try that with something like a decimal refraction.
Okay, Celina just said decimal refraction. I always err on the side of using simple language, even if it's explaining a complicated topic. That being said, using more advanced vocabulary can help our students, our peers, advance their vocabulary as well. I don't know. I'll leave that up to you. But generally, I err on the side of let's use simple vocabulary as much as possible.
Say 6.5 yards. And now I want to know how many feet is that. In this case, you can't really do it just in your head, right? So you're going to have to write out 6.5 times, then what's the conversion for yard to feet? What do you multiply this by?
1 yard?
Remember, this is in yards, right? 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. So then 6.5 yards times what would equal to the number in feet?
3.
Mm-hmm. And then, you want to try this out?
Okay, pause. So, Celina just gave an example. Okay, so we have something that's 6.5 yards. So how many feet is that going to be? Now, what in the pursuit of us always asking as many questions as possible, what could Celina have done here? Instead of saying, okay, well, this is going to be 6.5 times what? Times 3. Instead, Celina could have said, well, what should we do here? Like, give it a try, give it a shot. How do you think we would do this? Allowing Michaela the opportunity to try, even if Michaela's going to get it wrong, and that's fine. But again, just giving that opportunity to every single possible moment. But that being said, Celina did set it up and laid out very clearly, okay, so it's going to be this times this, and then what's that number going to be? Well, given our unit conversion, it's going to be 3, so we're going to multiply it by 3. So, yeah.
Bye.
Remember to keep track of the place values. Is Starstruck like a talent show at your school, or?
It's a dance.
Mm.
We have to do it in front of the parents tonight.
Pause. Talking about the talent show. So this is an example of really effective communication unrelated to the content. So the occasional question, it's personal to the point that it's part of Michaela's experience. Michaela has a talent show later that night that Michaela's going to be dancing at. But it's also not super deep or invasive. It's casual, it's friendly, and I think that's really important. Professionalism, even though that we might be working with someone that's much younger than us, keeping it very professional, lighthearted, and we do care about what they're up to, but not in a way that's invasive at all. So that was really, really well done. Keeps the tone light and informal in a professional sense. Okay.
All the parents.
And
All the parents.
okay, where would the decimal point go here? Would it go here or here?
Here.
Okay. If you put it here, you would have the number 1.95, right? Does that sound like the correct answer to 3 times 6.5?
No.
Yeah, it sounds off, right? So that should be a clue that you might need to check your work. Remember, if you're multiplying something with a decimal point...
Pause right here. Okay. Well done. Right, so we got our answer of 1.95. Celina says if the decimal point goes here, we're not sure exactly where, what Celina's talking about in this moment. But if the decimal goes here, then our answer is going to be 1.95. Does that make sense for if we're doing 6.5 times 3? Does that make sense? So this is putting the student in the driver's seat. We're getting Michaela to think, okay, so does 1.95 sound like the right answer? Like, are we in the right ballpark? That's good. So getting our heads thinking, and this helps Michaela develop a series of checks as she's going through her curriculum later, even after this lesson, tomorrow, the next day, or next year, setting up methods and checks for our peers to think about their own answers in the context of a question. See, is this rational? Is this reasonable? Does this make sense? Not just so hyper-focused on the numbers themselves, but thinking about in context of the word problem or the question. Perfect.
You're going to want to keep this decimal point, lined up in the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
So that means it should be here after the very first number.
Mm-hmm.
So then, what would your answer be instead?
19.5.
Yeah. Anytime you're multiplying something with a decimal point, just check your answer to see, is this close to what I think it should be? So then your answer is 19.5. And then this is something that's very, very important for this lesson. What is your unit here? Is it inches, yard, feet, miles? Remember what I was asking you to do in the original question, right? I said the length of my house is 6.5 yards, and I want to know how much that is in feet.
Feet.
So that is your unit here. Anytime you write down an answer for anything in this entire chapter, honestly, you need to clarify and write, is this in inches, is this in feet, is this in yards, or is this in miles? So, like, we talked about that before with some of the word problems, like in the fractions chapter, but that's really, really important here because your teacher's definitely gonna, like, if you don't write your units, your teacher's gonna be like, oh, 6? What is that? 6 miles, 6 meters, 6 inches, 6 pounds?
6
so,
what?
Yeah, you have to clarify what unit is this.
Pause here. Good. On top of saying that, well, it's important to put your units, Celina said, because your teacher is going to be wondering, well, what is 6 yards, meters, miles, pounds? Perfect. So giving reasons why this is important instead of just saying it's important. Well done.
3 miles. Let's see. All good?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's practice a little bit more with just the feet, inches, and yards, since there are a lot of conversions here, and the basic principle is the same, but let's keep it simple just to avoid overwhelming you. Okay, so if I have 12 yards, then how many feet is that? Remember, 1 feet, 12 inches, 1 yard, 3 feet.
Pause here. 1 yard, 3 feet. Again, these are all opportunities to be quizzing Michaela over and over. Okay, what did I say about inches to feet, yards to feet, right? So these are just all opportunities. Okay, so how many inches in a foot? How many feet in a yard, right? Just got to keep the questions going.
So if I have 12 yards, then how many feet is that? Well, 12 yards, and then each yard is 3 feet, right? Okay, so remember what I said over here? We're just doing multiplying, right? If I have 12 yards, then how many feet would that be? Here, let's try writing it like this. Yeah, 36. So, let's see. If you wanted to write that out to make it look clearer, then think about it, you could think about it this way. I know that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet, right? And I'm looking for how many feet are in 12 yards.
Pause right here as well. Michaela just gave the right answer while Celina was giving an explanation. Michaela said, okay, well, the answer is 36. So right there, I think Celina could have asked, okay, why is it 36? So Celina said, yeah, that's the right answer, and then proceeded with that explanation. If the student gets it right, maybe they have that, maybe they already are aware. So let's give them an opportunity to explain themselves. Okay, so why did you get 36? Where did that come from? Allowing them to explain, right? This is all putting the student in the driver's seat. Okay, why did you get 36? Where did that come from? Well, I know that there are 12 threes, so 12 times 3 is 36. Perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for, this unit conversion. And that saves the tutor time and energy if they, because if they don't need to re-give an explanation, then there's no need to, because the student is catching on. So at every opportunity, if the student gets an answer right, if the student gets an answer wrong, okay, why'd you do that? How'd you get there? Etc.
So then what I'm gonna do is I could multiply both sides by 12.
Benny!
So then he's usually quite peaceful. Even when I come in, he just barks once or twice and then leaves us alone. So I want to convert yards to feet. And I know that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet, but I don't know about 12 yards. But instead, what I could do is multiply both sides by 12. So 12 times 1 is
12.
So then this side becomes 12 yards. Then 12 times 3 is
36.
And that gives me 12 yards is equal to 36 feet.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Now what if I had 24 inches and I wanted to figure out how many feet is that? So this is a little bit different because we're going from like a smaller unit of length to a bigger unit of length. So then, how are we going to deal with this? We know that 1 foot is equal to 12 inches, right? So instead of multiplying like I did up here, because I'm going from a smaller unit to a bigger unit, that means that, all good?
Yeah.
Okay. Think about it this way. If I gave you like this much length, how many feet would you guess that this is? Like between my two hands? Doesn't have to be exact, just like a guesstimate.
3.
So let's say this is like 3 feet. Now, how many inches would you guess that this is? A lot more than 3, right?
Yeah.
So,
Allow Michaela to give an answer there. Let's give our students, our peers, the opportunity to answer the questions that we were giving them.
inch is a lot smaller than 1 foot. That means to represent the same like length, then you need a lot more inches than you need feet. So if you're going from inches to feet, you need a lot more inches than you need feet. So that means you're going from like a bigger number to a smaller number. So then in this case, you're not going to be multiplying, you're going to be dividing to find the length of 24 inches in feet. So let's see. I said that 1 foot is equal to 12 inches, right? If you want to convert from 24 inches back to feet, you're not going to be multiplying it by 12. Instead, you're going to be, what's the opposite of multiply?
Division?
So you're going to be dividing by 12 instead. So what's 24 divided by 12?
2.
Pause. What's 24 divided by 12 2? Okay, so Celina is now talking through, okay, we know if we want to go from yards to feet, that we're going to multiply something, our number, by 3. However, if we are going from feet to yards or inches to feet or from a smaller unit to a bigger unit, we are going to have to divide. Now, is there a way to communicate this in a smaller and more concrete example and then allow Michaela to apply that further instead of just saying, well, what's the opposite of multiplication? And then Michaela knows the opposite of multiplication is division. But how can we take that a step further? So here's an example. So I'll make up my own units here. So let's say that a grapefruit is made up of, let's say, 10, I don't know what these are called. In Farsi, they call them pairs. Our unit for this ratio will be pairs. So 10 pairs are in 1 grapefruit. Okay, so if I have 1 grapefruit, how many pairs do I have? Well, I have 10. So then the student would say I have 10. Okay, good. If I have 2 grapefruits, how many pairs do I have? 20. Why? Well, because 2 times 10 is 20. Okay, good. Now, let's say that I have 10 pairs. How many grapefruits do I have? Well, you have 1 grapefruit. Okay, why? And this is the question I asked. So why? Well, because I know that 1 grapefruit, there's 10 pairs, so in 10 pairs is 1 grapefruit. Okay, good. Notice, I'm not talking about division yet. I'm not saying, okay, well, we're going to do 10 divided by 10, and that's going to equal 1. We're keeping this in the practical so that we can then glean out the mathematical concepts that's happening. Okay, anyway. So now I'm back in the lesson. Okay, so we know that 10 pairs is 1 grapefruit. Now, how many grapefruits would I have if I have 20 pears? Well, 20 pears, you'd have 2 grapefruits. Why? Because I know that for every 10 pear, there is 1 grapefruit. Okay, good. Now, what if I had 15 pears? How many grapefruits do I have? Now, a couple of things to notice here. One, I'm keeping the units very basic, right? Because ultimately I'm trying to get the student to understand that we're now switching from multiplication to division. But I'm keeping it in really base numbers. I'm keeping it in 10s and 5s, 10, 20, 15. I'm keeping it really low because we don't need to do anything crazy. I'm not going to ask, well, if I have 37 and a half pears, like how many grapefruits am I going to have? Well, it's 3.75. No, like we don't need to do anything extra at this point. We just need to get that base understanding of, well, now we're switching to division. Okay. So then the student would say, well, if I have 15 pears, I'm not sure because it's not 10 and it's not 20. And then I would say, okay, well, try. How many do you think? Well, I guess like 1. Then the student would say, oh, I guess 1. Okay, so 1, but how many pears are in 1? This is a question I have. So how many pears are in 1? Well, 10. Okay, but how many pears do we have? 15. Okay, so it's not just 1. There's more than 1. And then, eventually then to get 15. Okay, so now this is the continued dialogue between me and my student. We know that for 15 pears, we have 1.5 grapefruits. Okay, good. So now I want us to understand this mathematically. So now I would write this on the paper. Okay, we have 10 pears equals how many grapefruits? It equals 1. Okay, 20 pears equals 2 grapefruits. And we know 15 pears equals 1.5. Okay, so what's the operation happening between grapefruits and pears? Remember we talked about this with inches and feet and yards and feet. What's the operation going from this way to this way? It's multiplication. Okay, so now if you just started on this side, if you just started on the pear side, what could we use? What operation could we use? Well, could we use division? Oh, great. Okay, so let's try it. So 10 divided by, what are we going to divide it by? I don't know. Well, if we multiplied 1 grapefruit by 10 to get 10 pears, now we're starting with 10, how many are we going to divide it by? Oh, okay, we'll divide it by 10. Okay, great. So 10 divided by 10 is 1. Does that make sense? Does that sound right? So does that fit our ratio? 10 pears to 1 grapefruit? Yeah, it does. Okay, great. Let's try it for 20. Okay, 20 divided by what? Divided by 10. Okay, 20 divided by 10 is what? 2. Okay, good. Does that fit? Yes. Now 15, let's do it. 15 divided by 10, what is it? 1.5. Okay, perfect. Does that fit? Yes, excellent. So now, and then this is the next question. So what did we just learn? Instead of me saying, okay, so now we're going to be switching to division when we have from smaller units to going to bigger units, I'm going to ask the student, so what did we learn here? Allow them the chance to explain it, and then go in and fill any gaps that they didn't get in their explanation. And then follow that up with, okay, so now we're going to apply this to the original question we even started with. Remember, all of this pears to grapefruit ratio, this whole thing is a separate thing that I have made myself as the tutor. It's a whole separate and much easier basic example. And then we're going to reapply that idea we learned that now we're switching to division back to our original problem. Okay, so that's an instance of where examples can be used instead of us just saying, okay, so now we're going to do something different. So what's the opposite of multiplication? Well, it's division, right? That's kind of it is still asking a question. So props to Celina for asking a question and putting Michaela in driver's seat, but it's not really getting, Michaela isn't the one that's getting there by herself. That's still feeding Michaela in a sense. Okay, so that's pretty much it.
So then 24 inches is equal to 2 feet.
Yeah.
Remember, when you write out your answer, you need to include
2 feet.
the unit. Awesome. Okay, let me check the time. It's been about 45 minutes, so do you want to take a quick couple minutes break, get some water, go to the bathroom? Okay.
Pause right here. It's been about 45 minutes. You want to take a break? Good. Michaela's a younger student, and even for any age of peer student, whatever, like, take breaks. It's good. Have them stand up. You stand up. You've been sitting down probably for a while now too. Get the blood flowing. Like, this doesn't have to be so stagnant and structured and set in stone. Take breaks. Like, switch it up a little bit, and it can help actually understanding later.
Oh,
Okay,
so wow.
so if we want to convert from yard to inches, maybe we don't know like the exact number of inches in 1 yard yet, right? That we do know 1 yard is equal to 3 feet, and then 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. Let's say I want to convert like 2 yards to, I don't know how many inches this is. We'll just put question mark. And again, I don't know how to convert precisely from yards to inches, but I do know yards to feet and then feet to inches, right? So what we can do here is convert 2 yards to a number of feet and then convert that number of feet to inches. So do you know how to convert 2 yards to feet?
I don't think so.
Remember, 1 yard is equal to 3 feet, right?
So, 6?
Mm-hmm. So that means 2 yards is 6 feet, right? And now you need to convert 6 feet to inches.
How much is an inch again?
Remember, 1 foot is 12 inches.
Right here, Michaela asks, how much is 12? How much is a foot again? And Celina says 12 inches. How could Celina have approached this differently? Have Michaela give a guess. Take a guess, right? How many do you think it is? Because then Michaela would probably say something like 10, 6, 12. At least it's somewhere, and we can start ballparking. And guessing wrong is better than being told. Right.
You have 6 feet, right? Mm-hmm. So what operation would that be?
Multiplication.
Yeah. Yep.
Me too.
72 what?
Inches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, awesome.
Inches.
So that means 2 yards is equal to 72 inches. You are free to go. Be free from your math lesson.
Okay, yay.
Okay, that was what I was going to talk about today. So you're going to go into a lot more detail about this with your teacher tomorrow.
One last thing I would have done here, I know that time was running out in the lesson. However, I would have done one more question, just wrapping the whole thing together, going to, 2 different unit conversions. So let's say I have 1 yard, how many inches is that going to be? Just as many questions as we can squeeze in, fitting, bringing it all together. That really is effective. Again, this was just an hour session, so there's only so much time. But yeah, it's that's just a general note. More and more questions. Yeah. So again, really nice job here. Yeah, I thought this was great. I think that there were a few opportunities to just be asking Michaela, okay, so what is this? What is this? Instead of saying, well, this is this, remember that 12 inches in a foot, remember that 3 feet in a yard, instead prompting and asking, okay, so how many? And then finally, what I went into in a little bit more detail towards the middle of the video, specifically about like breaking a hard problem into an easier, or breaking a new and hard idea into an easier and less like math symbol-y example, something more practical, and then extracting the math out of that and then reapplying it to the original can just be super helpful in these cases. So yeah, nice job. Yeah, but otherwise that was great. Leave any feedback or comments that you have, anything that you thought that I missed or could be improved on, or any feedback for my feedback, or something that needs more clarity. But all in all, nice job, Celina. And yeah, thanks for participating, and thanks Michaela as well. And yeah, great, thank you.